Hello everyone. Today's discussion is going to be on modern India, and since major part of modern India is also about Indian struggle for independence. So today I am going to touch upon the last decade of the struggle, which starts from 1940s and ends with the independence of India. So I will try to cover up important series of events in this last decade of Indian struggle for independence. I would begin with the first very important event which marked the beginning of this first decade, starting from the 1940. That is August Offer. Why is it called August Offer? Because the proposal which came up for the discussion and for the negotiation before Indian political parties and involving British government in India and His Majesty in Britain. So this proposal was to address the contemporary issues which were part of Britain as well as India. So let us talk and let us talk about the background. Let us talk about the political environment which characterized this period. So we have to go back into that time and have to imagine and reconstruct uh, the political scenario which it was like. So what had happened in 1935 when the Government of India Act 1935 was enacted? It had laid down a certain set of provisions for Indian political parties of the then to run election and form kind of provisional government on the basis of election uh, conducted on the basis of laid down rules and framework as per the rule of 1935 Government of India Act. Uh, Fortunately, Indian National Congress turned out to be the largest party because it secured a maximum number of votes from most of the provinces. And this victory of Congress upset Muslim League at considerable level because Muslim League had expected that on the basis of separate electorate, which it had been asking for, would secure most of the Muslims vote to its side, but it did not work out in that way. It worked actually against the Muslim, and it is for this reason that Muslim League was very unhappy with the result of election which was held in 1937, in which Congress turned out to be the largest party. Then, following 1937, 2 years later on, there was a unfortunate breakout of World War II in 1939, and British government started panicking because this war actually was triggered by a rise of German fascist state. Its unprecedented growth of militarism, which undermined the peace and security of Europe in general. So the entire world was polarized into two factions. One faction was with the German, and the rest of the factions countries were on the side of the allies. So they were all fighting against the Germany. So Britain also happened to be on the other side. And Germany was trying to assert its power by attacking the European nation after nation, one nation after another nation. So it had attacked Poland. It had actually caused a great degree of damage to the Poland, and Poland was shattered. And then soon after, Poland, it also attacked Norway, Denmark. So Britain was highly exasperated. It was running into desperation. At this point of time, Britain, without consulting main principal political parties of India, dragged India into the war. It declared India to be the partner of Britain against fascism and militarism, which was caused by Germany. Uh, the immediate reaction which arose from Indian side was to withdraw uh, all its ministries from all the constituencies which it had secured. So this withdrawal from all the constituencies was the first reaction, which you can consider as a tactful and also something which intended to seek concession from the His Majesty British government. So they withdrew from all the constituencies in reaction to the British effort to drag India into war without consulting Indian side and Indian political parties, which had upset most of the sections of Indian in these committees and these communities. So this is a kind of situation in which the whole negotiation and everything was happening. So since Britain was very desperate to seek all possible help from anywhere possible, so it wanted to gain support from India in various senses, like in terms of manpower for the military personnel, recruitment of military personnel, and also for the production of arms and ammunitions, so that it would be supplied to the British forces. So these were the couple of issues which Britain wanted to proceed with, and this was not possible unless Indian side had agreed to it. In order to get Indian side to get on agreeable platform, Britain started considering various measures. So this August offer is one of the measures worth considering, which started in the first uh, first year of this last decade, that is 1940. uh, a little bit of discussion about what was happening in Britain, United Kingdom. Uh, it's not that situations were static there. The internal political dynamics of Britain also require a great deal of attention, because things were not very straightforward. Everywhere, everything was very complex at this point of time. So in Britain also there was a transition. There was a prime ministerial change. So Neville Chamberlain, who was a prime minister, was replaced by Winston Churchill, and Zetland, who was Secretary of State for India, was also replaced by new Secretary of State, that is Zetland. That is L.S. Emery, Lord Emery. So these are the changes which are taking place, and the party by and large is Conservative Party, and for our understanding, this conservative people with the conservative bent of mind were not actually in favor of India's freedom. So India eventually, ultimately needed two things in general. One was complete freedom from British occupation, and second was uh, making of a robust constitution, hmm, on the basis of which it would run its country's future, political future, political discourse. So this is what was the aim of Indian side at this point of time. Uh, but this was not possible unless Britain had agreed to these terms. And getting Britain to concede full freedom to India was something which was asking for asking for what Britain was not willing to give. Why Britain was not willing to give? Because uh, this was a result of 100 and about 180 years. 180 years. So in Britain had held on to India as colony, which was of great help to Britain. Britain was dependent on India for many things, and so it was difficult for Britain to loosen the grip which it had maintained for this such a long period of time, that is over 150 years, 100, for many decades. uh, but fortunately, Britain was not in the same situation. It was in a very perilous situation. It was running out of manpower. It was running out of its economic strength. Everything was getting drained out as a result of the war, which was taking a great deal of energy from the Britain. And Britain wanted to replenish that loss of energy which was happening on the war front. It is for this reason that Britain needed Indian support. Uh, but it is something which is worth considering, that Indian politicians by now had grown mature enough. Although they were all looking out for opportunity, and Britain getting stranded in this world war came as an opportunity. It was great opportunity, a golden opportunity for Indian side to put tremendous pressure upon the Britain, and in return, it could have sought immediate freedom from the Britain. But instead of taking advantage of this uncalled for situation, Indian politicians maintained that they would proceed with thorough and sound negotiation. They would not resort to anything which would appear unreasonable. So they did allow Britain to take help of Indian side, provided Britain also tried to concede to what Indian side politicians were asking for. So this is one thing, but Indian side politics was also not that straightforward. It had multiple dynamics. So one has to understand the question of minorities and some other communities like scheduled caste, depressed class demands. So and other minorities. So they had their different set of demands which were in contradiction with the majority people, that is the Hindu people. So Muslim League in this regard, Hindu Mahasabha and Sikh communities, and then communities represented by some other political groups. So they did not have similar demand what the Indian National Congress had for the India in general, India at large. Muslim League wanted a separate nation for Muslim community, uh, and Hindu Mahasabha also wanted that majorities, that is Hindus, issues and important should not be compromised for the minority. So it had become minority versus majority, and anyway, this minority versus majority, which in other word was subsequence of communal issues, resultant and consequent upon the British policy. Hmm. So British had to pay for all this, which they had only started, but India also suffered on account of all this. So this turned out to be a major deadlock for Indian side also, because it was not easy for British government and British agencies to break this deadlock and reach a point where all political parties would agree. So this was a very complex task. Disentangling this issue was very difficult. Anyway, so Secretary of State, that is Alice Emery, and the government of that British government, His Majesty in Britain. So British Parliament in House of Commons and the and this in coordination with the Secretary of State for India, that is L.S. Emery, and then Viceroy, Lord Linlithgow, uh, and also in consultation with the political parties of India. They developed a proposal, and that proposal was to be put through Lord Linlithgow. And this proposal was about offering concession to Indian political parties, Indian side. But these concessions were not clear enough. That is one thing, and not sufficient because Indians wanted a complete freedom, and they wanted full autonomy to develop their constitution, where British government would not have any role to play. So these and in the proposals, nowhere it conceded to these two demands. What demands it had come up with? One was that it had developed what is that? It is a war council. They had developed the British government had developed a war council where war-related matters, what would be the role of India, what would be the role of Britain, and what would happen after the end of the war, and matters related to all this during war and after war, and anything which was related to the war was to be discussed through this war council. Hmm. This was one thing, and another thing was about the expansion of Governor General's Executive Committee in order to include certain representatives of all political parties of Indian side. That was one thing, and instead of granting full freedom to India, it was in favor of allowing government Indian to form a provisional government. Hmm. Uh, Besides these points, it also maintained that it would not compromise with the minorities. In other words, this proposal attached a greater amount of weight to the minorities. It conferred upon them the power of veto, whereby Muslim League or any other minority bodies could have vetoed and would have stopped the progress of the politics which was taking place from both sides. So this is what. So it was like allowing things to happen on the one hand, and also creating situation whereby the things would not happen. So this was a kind of paradox which British government had created. So, so instead of breaking the deadlock, they had come up with a situation which turned out to be another round of deadlock. So it was a deadlock after deadlock, and this is what upset the Indian and Indian politicians in general. And it is for this reason it this offer met with the mm, rejection. It met with the rejection. It was disapproved by most of the political Indian political leaders, except Muhammad Ali Jinnah and some other leaders, because it had attached a certain degree of importance to the minorities' demands. And why it was important for British government to attach importance to the British minority demands, especially to this Muslim, because I'm just going by this VP Menon's chapter on his book, that is Transfer of Power in India. In that book, on chapter the chapter is called August, Offer, and After. In that chapter he is dealing with this because the force which British government had from Indian side, Muslim represented accounted for 60% of the entire force, that military force. So they were playing very important role in that war. So it is for this reason that Britain were bound to be lenient towards the minorities' demands. So that is one thing. Uh, Another thing is that Britain actually uh, wanted to buy time. That is why they said that after the end of war, it would consider many things which Indian politicians and Indian side is asking for, but not before or during war. So this is what was the concern of the British government. But Indian political sides, they were not agreeing for this. So by and large, it was not agreeable. But the most important thing, which started from 1940 and it went on for future, that was the stand which Mahatma Gandhi had held. His stand was that of anti-war and anti-violence, because war in any form, whether triggered by imperialist or fascist, all sorts of wars had contained this possibility of violence, and Gandhi was not in favor of violence. And the corollary of this argument was that he was not in favor of war either. But most of these political parties, they wanted to support Britain against Germany, whose rise in Europe was giving very tough time and difficult time to the entire European community and to the entire world community. So most of these political parties and the political leaders, they were not in favor of what Gandhi was saying. But despite disagreeing with the Gandhi, they they allowed Gandhi to stick to his principle. They did not, but they did not go with it. But they were not critical of it. But they had a certain sense of reservation against what Gandhi was doing. But they did not confront it. They said, rather than Gandhi's position becoming a massive event, it should be individual. So what he is thinking should center around his individual belief rather than it becoming collective. So collectively, Indian political leaders were in favor of war because this is what the Britain needed at this hour of uh, time. But by and large, I just want to wind up that this offer was not satisfactory enough. Eventually, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Hindu Mahasabha, and most of these political leaders, including Mahatma Gandhi, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Jawaharlal Nehru, and most of the leaders, they all rejected this offer, and this met with the failure. And the reaction to this was individual satyagraha, which was started by Gandhi, and it went on for some time, and it put pressure on the British government. So the war had now started because now Britain was fighting multiple, wars in different locations. So one was fighting the World War, and one was the war which had started in India, and this was a very crucial time, that last decade. So this is very important for all of us to understand that what is all developing yeah, during this decade. So in next lecture, we will try to discuss Cripps mission, which was formed after this August offer, which was proposed on 8th of August 1940, when it failed later on to renew and to renegotiate and to continue the process of negotiation. Britain again considered sending another round of proposal through Strafford Cripps, Sir Strafford Cripps, who was a very magnanimous person, and he was held in a very high esteem, not only in Britain but also in America and among all statesmen all over the world. So through him, Britain tried to resolve the deadlock, which had become very apparent during this first year of the decade. That's it. Thank you very much. We will discuss in next lecture about Cripps mission. Thank you. Bye bye.